Happy Friday the 13th, everybody! Now, let's get into talking about some questions about a masked serial killer from the movies. As always with these Q&As, some of these Q&As, some questions do tend to be misplaced. That's usually because YouTube is an almighty dick and tends to either mark the questions as spam or not have them show up at all. So if I didn't answer someone's question, it usually means YouTube, for some reason, had it marked off, or, had it marked as spam or something else. So I apologize in advance for that. Anyway. So, let's get started with... Cody Bradish. And his first question is, so just run with me on this one. Tommy takes Kimberly to Crystal Lake without knowing its history, and while they're being all romantic and shit like that, they get attacked by Jason Voorhees. They survive but end up losing their power morphers and communicators by mistake, and end up getting separated. Do you think they could survive long enough to reunite with each other and get their morphers and communicators back and call the other Rangers, morph, and take Jason out? I think it's possible. I think Jason and Kimberly could hold their own against Jason for a while. I mean, the dude's dead, so stamina's a major issue, so there is that. Second question. It was announced a while back that a new hour-long series based on Friday the 13th series was in development, which would focus on a group of characters trying to dig up the past history of Jason and the whole Voorhees family. And is that something you'd be interested in? I think it would be cool. I think it would be very interesting, but there's only so much you can tell with the Voorhees family other than, Pamela Voorhees and Jason himself. There's only so much you can do with that. I know there was a Friday the 13th series, but it wasn't really based on the series of Jason Voorhees. It was just had the same title. It just had no affiliation with the show. But I think it would be cool to see them do that. Maybe just don't call it Friday the 13th. How about you call it Crystal Lake or something? No, then it would be like Gotham. Yeah, so maybe. I'm just more excited for the Evil Dead TV show on Starz. Alright, and your final question is, I've noticed videos in your past where you've given conflicting messages on your feelings towards the Friday the 13th series, at least to me. In your review of the remake, it seemed that you were not really a fan of the series. Again, at least to you. But then you put Freddy vs. Jason and Jason X on Zilla's favorite flick segment. I want to know, as a hardcore fan of the series myself, where do you stand on Friday the 13th franchise? I like it just fine. I like Friday the 13th. Is it one of my favorite horror movie franchises? Oh yeah, it's one of let me back up. I like the horror movie franchise. I like the horror movie universe franchise, but I'm more of a Freddy Krueger fan than I am a Jason fan. Not to say Jason's bad or anything. It's just that you have to back me up on this, guys. A lot of Jason's movies weren't really that great in the later sequels. I mean, there are some really fun ones, and oh boy, there are some really, really good kill scenes in every Jason film. I mean, seriously, I think Jason has the biggest body count out of all the horror characters. I seriously think he has the... Yeah, I think he has the biggest body count in the entire horror... out of all the horror movie characters. I think Leatherface is number 2. I could be wrong. And Freddy at number 3, but I think Leatherface is number 2. But I gotta say, Jason's probably got the biggest body count. And how he kills people is amazing. I really like it. And the remake is... Seriously... The remake of the film, oh boy, the remake. I don't hate the remake, honestly. I like it a lot more than the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Although, granted, Jackie Earle Haley does with what he can, but let's face it, that's Robert Englund's character right there. But he does a good job, but on the other hand, you got King Hodder, back as Jason, and it is it does feel more like it's a mashup of the first 3 films, and you care about none of the characters except Jared Padalecki's. And even then, he's doing with what he has. So the remake is a stretch, but there are some fun moments in there. But again, the remake's not a great thing. And in regards to Freddy vs. Jason and Jason X and why I like them, they're ridiculous and fun. They are so much fun. I love those films to death. And I think I saw those. Jason X was actually, and Freddy vs. Jason were my first intros to Jason as a character before I saw the rest of the Friday the 13th films. So yeah, that's another reason why I think they're cool, because those are my window movies into watching the Friday the 13th series. But yeah, so I hope that pretty much answers your question right there. So thank you for those questions, Cody. Moving on now to the Omnitron12345, who asks, do you think if they did another Okay, hang on, I just messed this up. Do you think that if they did another go for a Friday the 13th reboot, do you think we could see them try to tie it in with the new upcoming Evil Dead TV show as a way of a short version of Jason versus Ash? No, I don't see it that way. I really don't. And from what I understand, it's either supposed to be another Friday the 13th reboot or a sequel to the reboot that we got a few years back. Either way, I'm not excited. I mean, it's Jason, cool, but the last movie I didn't hate. I didn't vehemently hate, because there are some pretty cool kills in there, and it's a nice little film for all hardcore Friday the 13th fans. But it's not a great. You gotta back me up here, guys. It's a nice little tribute, but that is all it is. It is like a sad man's. Really, it's the abridged version of the Friday the 13th trilogy. And if this is remake's going to be exactly the same thing, then count me out. But yeah, I mean, look at the last Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. That wasn't so great, now was it? I recently rewatched, by the way. I know I'm getting off topic, but I recently rewatched the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That movie still freaks me the fuck out. Like, seriously. That movie, it makes me want to, have to go take a shower. It feels just dirty and grimy, and, yeah. But that last film, what was it, The Beginning? Oh, God, that hurt. That, physically hurt when I watched. I didn't even watch I caught, 10 minutes of that movie, and I was like, oh, man, this is bad. I need to bail out now. Anyway, I'm getting so off topic, I'm sorry. But yeah, no, I don't see it. It probably won't be. It probably won't, Omnitron. It won't. Alright, second question is, if you were in charge of a rebooted Friday the 13th and were told to change up how Jason operates and his overall origins, how would you go about it? I wouldn't change a damn thing. I really would not change a goddamn thing. I would just be like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Jason's origin is just fine, Kid that drowned there can't... Well, actually, no. I think the one thing I would change now that I think about it, I think I would give a little more explanation as to how he came back. It is alluded... It's actually kind of funny because what's it? Jason Goes to Hell, there's a cameo of the Necronomicon, and in the Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash comic by Dynamite and Wildstorm, it actually pretty much says, yeah, Jason's a Deadite. Yeah, he's a type of Deadite. His mother brought him back as a Deadite. It's alluded to in that. So I think I might, maybe not exactly bring in the Necronomicon, but I think I would, I think what I would do is probably, I think the one thing I would do is probably have some kind of way to bring him back. Like, maybe delve a little more into how he came back. But that's the only thing I would change, honestly. And your third question is, barring Freddy vs. Jason and Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, is there any other horror franchise you'd want to see Jason pitted against? Well, I know, but I've never read. Keyword, I've never read this comic. I know there's a Jason vs. Leatherface comic out there. Yeah, there's an actual comic where Jason fought Leatherface. And that comic was made years before Freddy vs. Jason. But so I think, yeah, Jason vs. Leatherface, or what else? That's really the only one I think would be cool. That's the only one I could see, or maybe Michael vs. Jason. Yeah, Michael vs. Jason would be probably for the best. Yeah. So, thank you for those questions, Omnitron. Moving on now to Major Badass, whose first question is, what horror-based, dark-powered characters, Hellboy, The Darkness, Grundy, etc., would you like to see fight Jason? I'm going to answer this one because it's It's more outside of the horror genre. So Grundy would be cool. Jackie would be pretty fun, along with Hellboy. Alucard would be kind of cool too. Those are just a few things to come to mind. How would Sam and Dean from Supernatural react to Jason? Okay, how would Sam and Dean react to Jason? Oh, they would that would be a really. I've seen a few crossover fan fiction of that with Friday the 13th and Supernatural, and I think Dean would be like, "Oh man, look at this fucker's face." All right. And your third question is, how would Jason react to the darkest version of the underworld? Do you think he would be scared? Well, he didn't look. He looked kind of. He didn't look really scared when he actually went to hell in Jason Goes to Hell. He didn't look scared at all in there. So maybe he's just kind of desensitized to all of the fire and brimstone stuff. I don't know. So thank you for those questions, Major Badass. Moving on now to Christian Sager, whose first question is: since Jason keeps the severed head of his mother on an altar and kills because he hears her voice in his head, can you think of anyone, real or fictional, who has bigger mommy issues than him? Yeah, Norman Bates. Yeah, Jason keeps a severed head, but Norman Bates dresses up as his mother and pretends to be his mother and keeps his mother's entire corpse in his house. So yeah, I think Norman beats out Jason. But that's just me. Yeah, Norman Bates from Psycho. Have you seen the fan films The Nightmare Ends on Halloween 1 and 2? They are Freddy-centric, but they take place after the events of Freddy vs. Jason, and Jason is in them, so it counts. You'd think. Okay. No, I have not seen them. I've heard of them, though. I have heard of them. Wait, no! Nightmare Ends on Halloween. I have seen them! Yeah, that's it. That's from Blinky5000. Yeah, that's the YouTuber's name. The Nightmare Ends on Halloween. I've seen those before. I actually have seen those before, and I thought they were so cool, because it's an alternate take on the end of Freddy vs. Jason. For those who don't know what this is about, the story is that Freddy is back in hell, and he believes that he can use, in the first one, he believes he can use Michael to go back, he can try to do the same thing he did with Jason, but with Michael, and it ends up in a fight. And in the second, it ends up that really he's back in hell, and Pinhead is going to use Michael, Jason, and Leatherface to torment Freddy for all of eternity. And from there, and then in the sequel, it has literally Freddy fighting his way through all different units, against Leatherface, Michael, and Jason, and then finally back to Pinhead. And that's a really cool idea. So yeah, I actually have seen those films. They're so good. In fact, the guy who makes those, the guy who goes by the YouTuber Blinky5000, he does a lot of really kick-ass stuff with the horror genre and a lot of the comic book of his fan-made comic book films. But yeah, so yes, I have seen those, and I strongly suggest people go see The Nightmare Ends on Halloween. Those are both really good. All right, and your third question. You can answer one or both. Jason finds a portal gun, and what bloody hijink... okay. What if Jason went to Aperture Labs? Okay, what if Jason went to Aperture Labs? No, no robot would be safe, and I think even... What's her face? I can't even remember. Yeah, but yeah, the main robot would be completely pissed off, thinking that he would be a test subject, but nope. So, thank you for those questions, Christian Sager. Moving on to 146 Zigzag, who asks, what is your favorite and least favorite Friday the 13th film? Excluding the first film and the beginning, since neither had Jason as the main villain. Okay, excluding A New Beginning in the first film. I think my favorite film is... This is going to sound really stupid, but actually I don't really have a favorite per se. I mean, there's a lot I like in these films. and there's stuff I don't like in these films. The third film is really good too, but it's really slow, and I gotta be honest. The first film's really slow. No, not the first film, Part 3, where he actually gets the hockey mask. That's a really slow film. But on the other hand, it also has its good tension. But I think the best one is Part 2, where Jason just walked around with the bag over his head. I think that's probably one of the best. Then you have, what is it? I think my least favorite is, Jason. It's either Jason Takes Manhattan or, Jason Takes Manhattan and Jason Goes to Hell. Those are completely terrible. So there's my answer. I also like Jason Lives. I really like Jason Lives. The Return of Part 6, Part 6, after A New Beginning, Alright. And your second question is, would you prefer they continue making solo Jason films or cross him over with other horror characters like Michael Myers, Leatherface, Chucky, Pinhead, or Freddy again? Well, it's all kind of... At this point, the horror universe is all kind of connected like the... it feels like it's interconnected with all of the horror characters, kind of like how it is with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I think it would be cool to see these little... him existing in the same universe as Myers and Ghost... Well, not Ghostface, but... because they watch these films. So maybe Leatherface and Chucky and Pumpkinhead and Rawhead. Kudos if you know who Rawhead is, who or what Rawhead is. But anyway... I think that would be cool. And your third question is... Do you think horror villains like Freddy, Jason, Michael, and Chucky can be considered the protagonists of their films since they're the main attraction of their movies and fans often root for them over the victims? In a weird, sick kind of way, I can agree with that. Because you really want to see these most of these characters you don't really give two shits about. You really don't. And you just want to see how bad Jason or Freddy or Michael, Chucky, or everybody else, how bad they're going to kill these people. You want to see them, cry and beg, and see them just horribly murdered, because they're horrible characters, and they're usually, Nancy and Tom, Nancy from from Nightmare on Elm Street, and of course Tommy Jarvis is from Friday the 13th, this series. He's also a really good character. So there are characters you can root. There are some good characters in horror movies that are not just the monsters or the serial killers that you root for. Like I said, Nancy's a character you root for, and also, once again, Tommy Jarvis. Because he grows up, he's kind of cool, you root for him. But anyway, so there you go. Thank you for those questions. Thank you for those questions, Zigzag. Moving on now to Ira Sutton, who asks, if you were standing right in front of the camp counselors who failed to watch over Jason when he drowned, what would you say to them? You fucked up! There you go. Second question. Was Jason's mother right... was Jason's mother in the right to kill all of the people in the at the camp to... Oh, basically, he's asking, was Jason right... Was Jason's mother right to kill all those people in the campsite? It made a good film, so... I guess. That's all I can say. I mean, we came for blood, and we got blood. Third question. If the U.S. military had an opportunity to clone Jason and use him for an army to fight against their enemies, would they do it? Well, here's the thing. Would the U.S. military actually... It's kind of funny because in Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash 2, Nightmare Warriors, the military, I shit you not, attempted to use Freddy and Jason as weapons against every enemy. All of their enemies. They wanted to use them as, use them to turn them on weapons. And I was like, this is a terrible idea. And let's not forget that, I think they would try to make it, but it would end as badly as it did in the sequel comic, which was also pretty bad, I'm not going to lie. That was The first one was pretty good on its own. Freddy versus Jason versus Ash 1 was a really good one as well. But the second one, oh god, the second one. All right, but thank you for those questions, Ira. Moving on now to King Nazaru, who asks, I heard there's a fanfic where Jason and Azula become a couple. What are your thoughts? Ew. Yeah, just ew. No. No. Alright, second question. How would you want Jason to take out Frank Miller? Look, guys, I've been asked a few times of like, how would I, who would I send off to kill Frank Miller or whatever? And admittedly, the guy's not the. Let's be honest here. The guy's not the greatest human being in the world. Let's be frank. But look at it this way: the dude, if it weren't for him, we wouldn't have certain things in comics. We wouldn't have certain things in comics in general. Now, I'm going to be the first to admit, yeah, Frank Miller has done some he's done some really questionable things in his lifetime, and is more so than ever in his years. But the thing is that it kind of looks like, if you haven't seen pictures of him in recent years, like I'm talking 2014 to now, he's not looking too good. Yeah, he's not looking great. He looks so much different from what he did before, and he may not have a lot of time left on this earth. And the other thing is that, if it weren't for him, like I said earlier, there wouldn't be a lot of things we would have in comics that we would have today. Comics wouldn't be treated as, Dark Knight Returns, not one of my favorite comics. If anyone out there who's listening likes Dark Knight Returns, that's totally fine. No ill will against you. Me personally, I'm not the biggest fan of that comic, but I will openly acknowledge that that comic opened the door to show the world at large that, hey, that comics can be treated as a major media. They don't have to be looked as kid stories anymore. Then you also have his run on Daredevil, his astonishing run on Daredevil, where he took literally at this point in the 80s a C-list superhero and made him a character people cared about. And if it weren't for him, we probably wouldn't have the stuff we had now for the Daredevil TV show coming up on Netflix. Yeah, it literally looks like a chunk of what Frank Miller was doing is going to be in that show. So if it weren't for him, we wouldn't have a lot of stuff we wouldn't have Daredevil animated series. We wouldn't have anything Daredevil live action if it weren't for him. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't just him. I mean, obviously, Mark Waid, Kevin Smith, and Joe Quesada, and Brian Michael Bendis, and several other people helped make Daredevil a popular character. But it all started. You got to look at it like this. Miller really opened the door to make Daredevil the character we know him as. So, yeah. Sorry to go on that tirade. I'm just kind of really tired of people saying, hey, who would you go have kill Frank Miller? Or what would you do if you could kill Frank Miller? I'm sorry, guys. Like I've said before, I don't hate, Frank Miller is not Frank Miller has done some really, really questionable things in the recent years mostly. But I don't vehemently hate the guy. I don't hate the guy enough to want to kill him. I've never met the guy. For all I know, I could meet him and be like, he's not as big as a dick as I thought. So I really don't appreciate when you guys ask me to kill a guy who's probably already dying. Can we stop? Whew. So, no, I wouldn't tell Jason to kill off Frank Miller. Nazaru, I wouldn't do that at all. And I deeply apologize for that tirade. I just had to get that off my chest, guys. I'm really sorry about that. I truly am. I really am, guys. That I went completely off the rails, but it just feels like it's been building up, you know. And I understand, guys, that a lot of it's for humor. I really do. A lot of it's for humor, but I've seen some comments on my channel of just a lot of stuff of just like, oh, it's, you know, Frank Miller. I get it. He's not a great guy. But if it weren't for him, you gotta acknowledge that if it weren't for him, there wouldn't be certain things we'd have now if it were not for him. So, yeah. Again, I deeply apologize for that tirade, but you know, I just wanted to put that out there. So once again, I apologize to everybody. So let's go on to your second question. I mean, your third question. Sorry, King Nazru. Yeah, I still got to do the third question. Since we saw Freddy in Mortal Kombat, would you be cool with Jason? Yeah, I wanted Jason. Actually, I thought that Jason would be in the next game because, you know, we had Kratos and Freddy. So I thought, is Jason next? We didn't get Jason. I would not put it past the creators of Mortal Kombat to put at least Jason or some other character in there, because these guys love crossovers. That was part of the reason why we got Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, because what's his face? Really, I can't remember his name, but yeah, the creators of Mortal Kombat were like, yeah, we love crossovers, and that's why also we got Scorpion in God's, Injustice. So I would not put it past them to put like someone like Jason or Connor, Edward Kenway from Assassin's Creed. Well, maybe not Edward Kenway, but it'd be cool though. It'd be cool to see that, but someone like, actually, that might be a Q&A. A Mortal Kombat Q&A might be just around the corner. Just saying. Anyway. So, thank you for those questions, King Nazru, and again, I am so sorry, guys, for that little tirade. But I just wanted to put that out there. I really do, because the guy looks like he may not have a lot. If you've seen him recently, the guy doesn't look like he doesn't have a lot of time left on this earth. So I don't want to, I really don't want to do that. Okay, I just don't. I really don't want to. Even if it's for joking, I really don't want to throw that out there. Anyway, so again, I am so sorry for that. So let's move on now to Travis Rendon, who asks, who would win a fight between Pyramid Head from Silent Hill, Jason, and Slender Man? Slender Man? Not Slender Man from the game Slender. I'm talking Slender Man from if only it's Slender Man from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged series. Just watch him walk up to as Jason and Pyramid Head are fighting. He just walks up and goes, "Hey guys, can I be in the fight too?" And Jason and Pyramid Head would go, "Piss off." Okay. But I'll be back for the fight later. Bye. That's the best impression I got. Sorry. Tongue-tied. Your second question is, what would be Jason's reaction to the Creeper from the TMNT 2012 cartoon? For those who don't know what the Creeper is, the Creeper was this plant mutation from the first episode of not Friday the 13th, the 2012 TMNT cartoon, and it pretty much became Jason. It literally became plant version Jason. And I think Jason would look at, like, if he ever met the Creeper, he would look at it, he would just look at this thing and go, "Fucking rip off," and just walk away. Use my likeness for all this. This is bullshit. I'm gonna call my lawyers. What? Alright, third question. Do you think Slender Man, Jeff the Killer, and all those other characters from creepypasta stories welcome Jason into their family? I don't really think they have a family. I think it would just be... if it is, that'd be one bloody Thanksgiving, I'm just saying. So maybe? Anyway, thank you for those questions, Travis Rendon. Moving on now to Burnouter7, who asks, what would happen if Jason encountered Hellboy? This would be a really epic crossover, you know? Jason and Hellboy. I mean, Hellboy has fought the undead before, but Jason is like a sentient dead. Then again, I think Hellboy could kill him. One shot from that gun could probably blow Jason's head off, maybe. Your second question is, how would Gravity Falls characters deal with Jason? I've always wondered, why hasn't anyone done that yet? Why hasn't anyone crossed over Nightmare on Elm Street with Gravity Falls or any of those classic horror stories? It would be really, I think it would be really fun if we get one thing out of this. We get Jason to brutally kill Robbie. That is the only thing I ask of this. We get Jason to brutally kill Robbie, the character, not the voice actor, people, because T.J. Miller's actually a pretty awesome dude. But yeah, if we can kill that character off, if Jason can brutally kill that character off, then by all means, let's do this crossover. And your third question is, what did you think of Jason X, the movie where Jason in space? I love that movie. I really do, because it's so goddamn ridiculous. I love it because it's Jason in space. It knows, the best part is, this movie knows what it is, and it is so freaking unapologetic of what it's doing. It's like, yeah, we know this is dumb. We're gonna have fun with this. We're also gonna make Jason a Terminator, kind of. It's gonna be awesome. So, yeah, thank you for those questions, Burnouter. Moving on now to Linerman0245, who asks, let's see, I got one twisted crossover idea in mind. Jason and Leatherface taking on an army of infected from 28 Days Later. How would that pan out? Jason and Leatherface fighting an army of infected. Well, here's the thing. I've never really... because this is the thing. Can Jason get infected? I mean, he's technically a zombie as it is. He's a zombie in like the voodoo sense, where he's a dead soul brought back to life, but he's not really eating people, he's just killing them. So would he be more of a ghoul? I don't know. That's beside the point. So, where was I going with this? I think it would be cool. I mean, the infected would probably infect Leatherface because he's not really undead. Jason's the big question, so I don't know. But it would be bloody as hell. Let's face it, that's what it would be. Alright, so your second question is, what would happen if Jason was teleported into the land of Oo, then goes on a rampage starting with the Candy Kingdom and working his way all the way through the kingdoms, even to Lemongrab's earldom, and eventually Wizard City? How would Finn stop his rampage? I think honestly, Princess Bubblegum would look at Jason and then see Finn and be like, Finn, you can't fight him. He can't die. Seriously, I tried everything. He can't die. Yes, I blew him up. Got back up. Let's just call Marceline. She can eat him or something. I think, yeah, she would probably leave it to I think Bubblegum would honestly turn Marceline, sick Marceline, like an attack dog on Jason. Because whatever Jason does to Marceline, he can't kill her. He literally could, stab her. She could just pull it out and be like, what the fuck was that? And the only thing that could kill Marceline is if that Jason held her down and burned her to death with the sun. I don't know. So yeah, it would probably be more like Bubblegum would look at this, see Finn get his ass kicked, and then she would be like, Marcy, you gotta deal with this, babe. You gotta. Look at Finn. Finn can't even... I think that's his lung hanging, on the ground. Come on, you gotta kill this thing. Oh, Lord. Okay, your final question is... Oh, God. What would happen if Patrick Star and Jason Voorhees switched minds for an entire week? Nothing good. Like, seriously. Here's one scene. Is this a Krusty Krab? Okay. Hangs up. End scene. Saying those questions, Linerman0245. Next comes the Spawn117, who asks, have you read this fanfic, Hellsing's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen? It's a crossover between Hellsing, Detective Conan, Friday the 13th, and of course, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I have not. I've heard of it. I've actually heard of this fanfic. I've never read it. But I've been kind of I've been looking for it. I've been it's on my to-do list. All right. Second question. What's your favorite look of Jason from all the Friday the 13th movies? Yes, including the remake. I think my favorite look for Jason is from Friday the 13th Part 6, where he had the hockey mask back on, but his face was all rotted away. That's where we first got to see Undead Jason. That was the first time we got Undead Jason as a character. That's when we really got him, and it really showed. So that's the very iconic look, is the Undead Jason. So yeah. So one more question. What do you think of a Friday the 13th RoboCop crossover? Basically, Jason versus RoboCop. Also, yes, I know I've been actually meaning to get this, the RoboCop versus Terminator crossover, and it's been collected like deluxe hardback. So I'm getting that shit as soon as I can. Which is also written by Frank Miller. So small world. And I just went off topic again. That's becoming a thing in this Q&A. Anyway, so where was I? Oh, yes. I would really like it. I think that would be a really cool fight, because literally Jason is nearly unstoppable with the but Murphy's a frickin' tank on two legs. Be a really badass fight, honestly. And I think there is a trailer. There's like one of those fake mass-up trailers of Jason versus RoboCop. There's also another good one with Freddy too. I can't remember who made them, but they're on the YouTube somewhere. All right, thank you for those questions, The Spawn. Moving on now to Andrew Varney, who asks, how would you want to kill Jason off for good? I had this idea where all of his past victims' spirits attack him and hold him down, giving whoever he was hunting the chance to chop off Jason's head. Then it would truly be the final Friday. I think you can't really kill Jason no matter what you do. I mean, hell, a lightning bolt that hit a spear, like a metal, a metal pipe or something, brought him back Frankenstein style. So it's really hard to kill this guy. I don't know how you can exactly kill him. I mean, you can blow his head off, but for all we know, he could grow it back. Anyway. So I don't know, really. Alright, second question. Jason ends up in the following universes: Hellsing, Halloween Town, Dead Space, and The Walking Dead. What happens next? Okay. Jason would be hunted down by both Iscariot and Hellsing to be put down as a mad dog. Jason, and I don't know how Jason would react to Halloween Town, because they would all be nice to him. Like, they would all be, oh, look, he's so scary. Look at the hockey mask. I really love it. I think Jason would be like, what the hell do I do? They're complimenting me, and I stabbed a few of them. They won't die. I think Jason would actually be at home in Halloween Town. Like, he would just live by the lake, and no one would bother him. Like, people would come by and be like, hello, Mr. Voorhees. Is that your mother's head you're praising? Good on you, man. Also, Jack's doing some really weird stuff as a town meeting. You really got to see this shit. It's Chris. Have you ever heard of Christmas? Why do I even bother talking? You don't talk. Whatever. Dead Space. Jason fighting necromorphs would be kind of badass. Really. And The Walking Dead? Yeah, Jason fighting walkers. But then again, I don't know if he could be infected by that. I really don't. Alright. Alright. So, third question is Jason X versus any of the following: Mecha Frieza, Metacooler, Deadpool, Kratos, Scorpion, and Aku. Who wins? Jason loses all of those fights because Mecha Cooler and Meta Cooler and Mecha Frieza, they can still blow up planets. So Jason would be fried. Deadpool can't really die. Well, Deadpool can be killed, but it's really hard. And yeah, I mean those two would probably be stabbing each other for hours, if not days. Kratos has killed literally the god of death, so I don't think a zombie could really be much of a problem. Scorpion could just drag him to hell and leave him there, and Aku is this god of dark sorcerer or demon thingy. So, yeah, as much as I like Jason X, or as he's known as Uber Jason, which is still a strange name to give him, I gotta go with everybody else, because I mean, Jason could probably put up a fight against some of those, but not all of them. Alright. Next question. Thank you for those questions, Andrew. Next comes Nicholas Harley. I hope I'm saying that last name right. Do you think there will be a match between Jason from his franchise, Jason and Michael and Freddy? Okay, I don't think we'll ever get to see another Freddy vs. Jason movie, let alone have Michael Myers in it. So, I mean, it would be cool, but I don't think we'll ever get it, sadly. Alright. Second question. What would happen if Jason met Steven and Connie from Steven Universe and Dr. Gero from Dragon Ball Z? Okay, Steven would probably be like, "You want to be friends?" And Jason would look at him and go, well, he wouldn't say anything. He would just be like, okay. Because I think Steven would, be friendly to him, and then, even if Jason attacked him, I don't know if that machete could break through Jason's bubble. And Dr. Gero would probably look at, Uber Jason, or, from Jason X, and go like, "I'm gonna make you an android." Because that's what Gero does. Alright, third question. If you could choose any weapon for Jason to use, what would it be and why? Okay, other than the machete, I think I would give Jason... Well, has Jason had a chainsaw? If he hasn't, I'd give him that, but then again, he would just be copying Leatherface. Weed Whacker. There you go, Weed Whacker. I don't know why, but I think I've seen kills with Weed Whackers in horror movies before. It's not pretty. So, well, actually, no, Jason's killed people with Weed Whackers before. So that wouldn't be the... How about a giant broadsword? There you go, giant broadsword. So thank you for go, Nicholas. Thank you for those questions. Moving on now to Jason Voorhees 2011. And your first question is, what are your wishes for the upcoming Friday the 13th reboot that's supposedly coming out this November? Oh, there is a Friday the 13th reboot. You see, I didn't know that. We're getting a Poltergeist reboot. Yay, Poltergeist reboot. So we're getting two remakes and reboots in the same year. What? Actually, no. At this point, I shouldn't be just saying that for horror movies. That we get that frequently, so I should stop. So I don't know. The only thing I really want it to be is true to able to do its own thing, but be true to its original source. That's what you can wish for with all reboots, really. That's all you can really do with reboots. That's all I can say. Second question. What's your opinion on Jason Goes to Hell? You personally think it's the worst movie in the entire series, and a lot of people, including myself, would agree with you. Jason Goes to Hell is just bad. I mean, I would watch Jason Takes Manhattan over that, because Jason Takes Manhattan is also pretty bad. But at least the kills are kind of fun. And your final question is, how would Jason fare against the following characters? The Berserker from Predators, Lucy from Elfen Lied, and Wolverine and the T-1000. Well, I think the T-1000 and Jason would just keep shooting at each other, keep fighting this never-ending struggle. Lucy would probably tear Jason apart, and Wolverine, no matter what Jason did to Wolverine would just get back up and start stabbing him again. The Berserker would probably shoot a hole through Jason, several holes with the plasma cannon, and Jason would still be like, coming for you, bitch. So these would be just endless fights, just endless bloody fights. That's all I can say. So thank you for those questions, Jason Voorhees. Moving in now to Eugeros Vaslores. Again, I hope I'm not butchering that name. I apologize if I am. Your question is, if you could remake your own Friday the 13th, if you could make your own Friday the 13th movie, how would it play out? That's a good question. How would I make my own Friday the 13th movie? How would I go about making my own Friday the 13th movie? I think what I would like to do is maybe play around with the idea, maybe really play with the idea of what was I going to say? Maybe play around with how Jason came to be, and maybe be like a, not really focus on kids, but maybe a film crew. No, that would be a point of view film, and I don't want that, a point of view film for a Friday the 13th. Maybe, I don't know. I really don't know, now that I think about it. Maybe have a group of like ghost hunters or myth finders. Someone, like, they explore myths, and they're trying to debunk the whole myth of Jason, and it turns out pretty bad. Maybe do something like that. Alright. And your second question is, what would happen if Jason walked into a room with all these characters and they all fought? Chucky, Michael, Pinhead, Pumpkinhead, Alien, Predator, Candyman, Freddy, Ghostface, and the Velociraptors from Jurassic Park. It'd be an incredibly bloody fight. That's all I can say. It'd be an incredibly bloody fight. I don't know who would win, but it'd be there. You just open that door to that room, and just like a fountain of blood would come spewing out, like Niagara Falls. Third question: what are your thoughts on Friday the 13th Part 8? Jason Takes Manhattan. It's not the greatest film, but I still like it more than Jason Goes to Hell. There are some pretty decent kill scenes in there, and this is also the first movie we get Kelly Hu, who most of you guys would know best as China White from Arrow and Lady Deathstrike from X-Men 2, and several other things, including Stacy from Phineas and Ferb. Alright. So, thank you for those questions. Moving on now to Predator Warrior 18, who asks, I hope this question isn't skipped. Thankfully, it's not. So if Jason was in the Legend of Korra universe, and Korra managed to find out his origins, do you think she would feel sorry for him and want to help him? Nah, I think she would be like, look, you had your chance, but now you're just a soulless killing machine. I have to put you down. I don't know how I'm going to do that, because everything I throw at you is, not helping, so I gotta find a way to put your ass down for good. Avatar state, bitch! Boom! End scene. So thank you for that question, Predator Warrior 18. Now moving on now to Andre Partridge, who asks, what will happen if Jason met these characters? The Bat Family, Alucard, Punisher, Celty from Durarara, Constantine, Light from Death Note. Already talked about Alucard. The Punisher would just keep filling him with ammo and he wouldn't die. I haven't watched Durarara, sadly. The Bat Family would just throw everything they have at him until they realize, oh yeah, he's dead, we can kill him. And Light would just write his... I don't know, because I don't think the Death Note could work on someone who's already dead. Alright. Second question. Do you think Jason will ever catch a break and find solace and true happiness in his undead life, or will he just be a never-ending killing machine for all eternity? Well, that's kind of what he is, a never-ending killing machine, and he's kind of like the Hulk. He just wants to be left alone. That's all he wants. So, he'll never get that peace. What will happen if you, Jason, and Michael Bay were in a room and both of them had watched the Michael Bay's version of Friday the 13th? What do you think will happen? I go get nachos. No, really, I would go get nachos and come back and just be like, hey guys, I brought nachos. Nachos for everybody. And I'm just going to stop doing that. I need to stop saying that because it's ridiculous. Alright. Thank you for those questions, Andre. Moving on now to Nick Lenz. And your first question is, who is your favorite actor to play Jason Voorhees? Ooh! Well, there's been several, but I think my heart goes out to Kane Hodder. I think Kane Hodder, he's so massive, and he really gives Jason that imposing size. He really gives Jason this kind of just huge, massive body, and he just looks imposing. He really does. He gives Jason this imposing, just overwhelming height and power to him. That's what I like. So I'm going to go with Kane Hodder. Oh, speaking of Kane Hodder, your second question is, what is your view on the first of the Kane Hodder's Jason Voorhees films? Friday the 13th, the New Blood. It's not bad, but I could have done without the telekinesis thing, because that comes out of nowhere. So, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's bad. It's just like, why do we need telekinesis? Why do we need psychic powers in this movie? Why? Third, do you think there should be an ongoing series for Jason Voorhees, and if so, what company should publish it? Well, Jason did have a comic by Wildstorm, but that went nowhere. So I think I'm going to have to say it, IDW or... Yeah, IDW should probably take it, because they're doing nothing, because... I think Dynamite might take it. Yeah, Dynamite might take that, because they already own the Evil Dead stuff and Army of Darkness, so why can't they just take that? But then again, Wildstorm might snatch up some of those things. I don't know. Excuse me. And your third question is, do you think there's... Oh, wait, you already answered that. So thank you for those questions, Nick. Moving on now to Matt Bennett, who asks, what is your least favorite film in the franchise? I kind of already answered that. Sorry, Matt. Alright, second question. What other horror franchises do you want to see crossover with? Kind of already answered this as well. But I think the number one I'd like to see him crossover with is maybe Hellraiser? Yeah, Hellraiser. And your third question is, Jason versus Predator, who wins? Well, the Predator's got all that firepower and alien technology, but Jason is just going to keep coming over. He's just going to keep powering through whatever happens and just eventually kill the Predator in the end, because the Predator's going to get exhausted and lose ammo and lose weapons in general. So thank you for those questions, Matt. Moving on now to John Kelly, who asks, first question is, what would you like to see Jason fight the most and why? I think Jason would be cool fighting... Now, I'm going to answer this one because it's fighting someone in general. I think it would be cool to see him fight... Oh, wait, I forgot that, yeah. I wanted Jason to fight Michael, then Hellraiser. That's the question I was going to... that's what I meant to say, Matt. Sorry. But going back to this, I think what I'd like to see Jason fight is maybe... Maybe Jason versus Solomon Grundy? There you go. Second question, what was your favorite kill? My favorite kill from a Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th film was... My favorite kill would have to be the kill of all the kills, really, from Friday the 13th Part 6. Also, Part 3 had some really good ones, too. So not really naming one of my favorite, all of them, but there are some really beautiful kills. That's a strange two words to put together. From, Part 3 and 4. 2 had some good ones, too. So, oh, wait. And your final question is, did you feel the ending of Freddy vs. Jason was a cop-out? Yeah, it kind of did. But I remember the original cut of the original, what was supposed to be the ending was Freddy and Jason both in hell, and they meet Pinhead from Hellraiser. So I kind of wanted that ending, and I felt a little cheated that we didn't get said ending. But yeah, it did feel a little cop-out-ish. But that's why we got Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash comic. I almost said ass. And so thank those questions, John. Moving on now to Jerkwater100, who asks, if you can pick one anime and cartoon character to be killed by Jason, who would it be and why? My favorite, I think one anime character I would get killed by Jason is Louise from Familiar of Zero. God, I hate that bitch. That Louise, Francesca, Bonanna, Fana, Francesca, that's yeah, Louise is pretty bad. Also Misa from, Misa from Death Note. She became a pretty awful character too. Like Harley Quinn if she didn't have the charm to her. So there you go. There's two right there. Cartoon character, already said Robbie, so yeah, Robbie. Robbie from Gravity Falls, there you go. And I guess for another one, fuck, I don't know. Curly from Hey Arnold. There you go. What is your? I kind of already answered this already, Jerkwater. So sorry. And how screwed would we be if Jason became a Black Lantern? We'd all be screwed because, yeah, I think Jason qualifies for Black Lantern material, and he's already evil, so that doesn't help our, anyone's situation at all. So we would be very screwed. Okay, next set of questions come from Zach the Thunder King, who asks, alright, I already answered this one. Who would I love to see fight Jason? I already answered that. How would you work a Friday the 13th comic? How would you work a Friday the 13th comic series? How would I do that? I don't know. Maybe have, like I said, a group. I guess a story arc I would do is have a group of people who are trying to bust the myth of Jason Voorhees, and it turns out the legend is real. Oh no, we're all dead. And then maybe have another one where a big game hunter hears the legend of Jason Voorhees, and he's like, I'm going to hunt the most dangerous game, Jason Voorhees. And him and his bunch of rich hunting dudes go out to the woods and they all brutally die. Maybe something like that. And your final question is, how would you end the Friday the 13th series permanently? Again, I don't know, because it's really hard to find a way to kill Jason, but maybe, I don't know, Necronomicon? That just pops out of nowhere and kill him with that? I don't know. Alright, thank you for those questions, Zach the Thunder King. Moving on now to Wolfman the Impaler, who asks, which characters would you want to see get killed by Jason? Kinda already answered this, Wolfman, sorry. Also answered what is my favorite kill from all these movies, so I'm sorry, I kinda already answered that as well. And your third question is, Jason always seemed uptight. What would happen if he smoked some pot and mellowed out? Okay, I'm going to answer this one. I think Jason in the remake smoked pot. No, really, think about it. Jason started killing people only when they got too close to that giant field of weed in the remake. No, really, I'm really convinced Jason's he's the remake version of Jason is like a fucking pimp. I'm convinced that's what it is that he's just this drug dealing pimp, and he just puts on he just keeps on the mask. He's like, oh, gotta get my machete. Bitches be in my field. Chop chop, motherfucker, chop chop. And yeah, I think he was a stoner, or at least a drug dealer in that remake. Because again, he only when people got close to that thing of weed, that's when that's when he started killing people. Maybe it's just me, but I think after he killed people, he was like, God, this is not good for my nerves. Just torch it up right there on top of a pile of dead teen bodies. That's probably going to be someone's fan art picture soon of Jason smoking up a blunt with his mask pulled back to show his mouth. He's smoking it up he's just smoking up a roach right there on top of all these dead teenagers he's sitting on. He's just by a campfire. There's a dead chick hanging in a burnt sleeping bag. There's another teenager with his head crushed in a bear trap. He's just there with his machete stabbed through some other like naked teen's chest or back or whatever. Just stabbed her in through her in general. And he's just there smoking it up like, man. Oof. Draws like a pencil. Oh yeah, I killed all these people, that too. So thank you for those questions, Wolfman the Impaler. Next question comes from Tyreek Howard. I apologize if I completely messed up that name, so I deeply apologize for that. What is your opinion on Jason Voorhees taking on more supernatural creatures or beings like Freddy in Freddy vs. Jason? Okay. He's basically asking what kind of, like, if he could fight Jason encountered supernatural creatures, what would they be? Like, what kind of creatures could I see Jason encountering? Okay, so I think, like, maybe one creature he could fight is, maybe the Mothman. Yeah, no one does anything with the Mothman since the Mothman Prophecies, and that really bad Mothman movie from Sci-Fi a few years back. No one's done anything with Mothman. Let's have Mothman fight Jason. And your second question is, what supernatural scenario would you like to see Jason in? I think maybe what I'd like to do is have Jason like a voodoo priest or someone who's dabbling in voodoo in general, uses a spell on Jason to make them their servant and make him like their hand of vengeance, or he or she who's using this voodoo spell on Jason makes them go out and kill people, and Jason is mentally trying to break the hold on them. He eventually does and whips some ass. So maybe something like that. So thank you for those questions, Tyreek. And again, I do apologize if I messed up your name. Next comes Natashka Chu. Natashka Chu. I apologize if I messed up, if I've completely butchered your name. I apologize for that. But this person asks, what have you got on Jason Voorhees' father? Well, not much, because we don't know who his father is. I think they tried to allude to it in one of the films, but they never got around to finishing it. So maybe do that in the remake. Maybe explore that Jason's mother's gone, but Jason finally encounters his father and proceeds to kill him. Maybe do something like that in the remake or whatever. So thank you for that question. Moving on now to finally ActionFan19, who asks, what do you think sounds better for an alternate name for Jason other than Uber Jason in Jason X? Mecha Jason or Cyber Jason? Cyber Jason sounds awesome. I'm going to go with Cyber Jason. Okay, your second question is, how long would a fight between Jason and Michael Myers last? Days. Seriously, it would take days for them to kill each other, because they made Michael just as powerful as Jason. They never explained why, other than he's just evil. Well, actually, no. I think they explained it in the 6th Halloween movie. Maybe, yeah, I think they did. Now that I think about it. So, anyway. Thank you for that question. Your final one is, assuming that Jason can feel emotions, how do you think he would react to the creeper from... Okay, I already answered this question. He'd get pissed off and call his lawyer, because Jason Voorhees totally has a lawyer. I'm saying that now. Oh, I'm kidding. I'm having too much fun with this Q&A. Anyway, so that's pretty much all the questions. Once again, if I did not answer your question, that usually means YouTube was being a jerk and either mark this spam or have it not show up at all. But once again, I want to thank everybody for sending in questions. These are a lot of fun to ask. And yeah, once again, I do want to apologize for that little tirade I had on Frank Miller. And I am really sorry for that. But I was like, I just don't feel like doing Frank Miller jokes because it's kind of mean at this point. Again, maybe he deserves it, probably. So, yeah, sorry for that. That was uncalled for, regardless. So I apologize. Anyway, once again, hope you all enjoyed this Q&A regardless, and I will see you guys later.